The Ender 3 version 2 is clean and professional looking, but it's still missing something, and that's personality. So in this video, we're going to do something about that, so stick around. We're going to make ourselves miniature printer helmets. I'll show you how I did it, and I'll give you what you need to do it yourself with whatever you choose. Before we get too far, if you're running a heated enclosure or have problems with hot and cooling, something like this might further restrict the flow of air over the heatsink. We're going to try and account for this in two ways within the design. First, let's pick our model. Something like a Mando helmet works really well because it's already hollow and the openings at the front are well suited to this application. I'll be using Fusion 360 for these changes because we need to add dimension components to the mesh. Import the model of the fan shroud first, and there will be a link in the description to download this yourself. We'll bring in the mesh of the helm. It needs to be rotated, and I'm using 75 degrees. Make sure that you select the center point to align it to the center of the shroud as well. Select mesh settings for this model and we'll scale it. I'm using 36% here, and it'll be further refined later on. We'll use the section tool to see the inside and create a plane in alignment with the first set of ventilation holes on each side. Use that plane to slice the helm and choose minimal fill to close the openings. I've chosen to cut this model halfway through approximately. This is to allow room for airflow. It also lowers the weight a little bit. For enough clearance during printing, we'll align the bottom of the helm with the bottom of the shroud. At 36% of the original size, the helm is still a little bit too big. The final percentage should be around 32.5. To easily clip this on, first we'll extrude a shape to match the curve with a small amount of tolerance included. We'll then add a tab on each side which will lock into the first vent holes. 1.75 by 1.75 by 9mm works well with the chamfer towards the front to fit that vent. I've decided to make a small adjustment and trim a little bit more off of the back. Some of these voids will not print well, and it's best to avoid the problem. Before we can export this to an STL file, all of the parts need to be joined. To do this, we'll convert the new parts to meshes and then combine all three. Now we can export the file and bring it into Cura. This Mando helm will be listed as a remix on Thingiverse with all of the important print details, and that will be linked in the description if you'd like to print your own. I will also link a file for just the tabs and extruded arches in the description as well. My first print used 0.16mm layer height. This one uses 0.12 for a little bit better layer hiding. I've also slowed down the second print as well. These models are printed with PLA along with supports. I rarely print with either, and my settings obviously need to be a bit more fine-tuned for a cleaner final result. I do like to use glass along with glue stick for an excellent bond to the build plate. The downside is that it bonds so well that the part needs to go into the freezer for about 10 minutes to release it. Now from you guys, I'm going to need some advice for the best filler and for the coolest paint job for this helmet. So please let us know your ideas in the comment section. Now if you're working with a model that isn't already hollow, I've found that Mesh Mixer works really well to create an offset from the outer surface by a value that you can define. That file can then be exported and brought into Fusion 360 to process further in the same manner as shown earlier. This helm has added some much needed personality to this printer, and because of the simple design, we're not modifying the printer, and it can be easily removed if there are any concerns about cooling the hot end. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and if you have ideas for other mods like this one, please let us know in the comments section. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.